In this video, I'm going to explain to you what metacognition is and why it is crucial for people to understand metacognition if we want to create truly resilient workplaces. My name's Sarah Maud. I'm the founder of the Mind Solution International, and let's dive in. Now, before I get to the metacognition, I first want us to look at the mind. Now, the mind is the brain in action. We have one mind that's got two dualities to it. So we have the conscious mind, everything that we are consciously aware of, and then we have the unconscious mind. And the unconscious mind is a bit like a giant computer that's got all of these different applications, pieces of software, programs, apps that are all quietly running the show in the background. And these programs, these applications are running the way that you think, your thought patterns, your beliefs, your belief structures, your perceptions, your perceptual filters, your survival-based responses, your emotions, your emotional responses, how you respond to people, to situations in your life, your perspective, your behavior, and the physiology of your body. Now, when it comes to the physiology of the body, well, it's great that the unconscious mind is taking care of all of that. It means that we don't need to consciously remember to breathe. We don't need to focus on how to digest our food, how to repair any ailments, to replenish billions and billions of cells in our body every single day. All of that is taken care of by the infinite intelligence and wisdom of our body at the level of the unconscious mind. Now, when I'm delivering resilience training, I'll often ask people what percentage of the mind is taken care of by the unconscious mind. And if I'm really honest, I'm often surprised at the answers that I get, because I'll have some people that will say, oh, maybe about 30%, 50%, 70%, 90%, 99%. Well, give or take, it's about 95% that's been taken care of by the unconscious mind. So why is that a challenge when it comes to everything else? So not the physiology of the body, but the way that we think, our beliefs, our behaviors, our thought structures. Well, when something becomes unconscious, it's a program. It's a program, it's an application, and it is running that show. And that influences completely 100% how you are showing up in the moment. Because if you are not fully conscious, if you are not fully present, the moment that you're in your head, the moment that you're in your thoughts, you're unconscious. And that unconscious mind is running the way that you're thinking, the way that you're responding to situations, the way that you're interacting with people. It's like we're puppets on a string. And if we have a thought which isn't a helpful thought, if we have a thought which, some of the very consistent thoughts that I see, I'm inadequate, I'm not good enough, people are going to judge me, I can't get anything right, what's the point, I can't do right for doing wrong, any thought that isn't serving us. Well, when we have a thought, whether that's consciously or unconsciously, that thought creates a biochemical response in the body. And that biochemical response in the body, experience that as an emotion. Now, if we've got a thought that we have paid attention to, we've believed, we've given our time and attention, that we've thought again and again and again, well, then that thought becomes a conditioned thought. And what that means is that thought is habitual. It's automatic. And when something's become a habitual, automatic thought, we don't think that thought consciously anymore. It just gets activated at the level of the unconscious mind. Which is why you can be in a situation and you can experience all of these emotions flooding the body, like fear, anxiety, impatience, anger, frustration, worry, doubt, struggle, guilt, all of these emotional states. And people will say, yeah, but I wasn't really thinking anything at the time. Well, that's because that thought has become so conditioned, it's become your state of being. So you have a situation in the external world that you've learned to respond to, and like that, you're responding to that based on these responses that are being taken care of by the unconscious mind. So people that I've seen over the last 14 years of doing this work, they will find themselves in a situation where, take something like the fear of public speaking, classic. They will find out that they've got to do a presentation, and it's like the moment they hear the word presentation, their body automatically responds. Their emotions have become conditioned responses. So they will emotionally start to feel dread, panic, anxiety, worry. They're not even in the situation. They're not even delivering the presentation, but their body has created this conditioned response. The body doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. And the thing about our emotions have no idea about reality. Our emotions don't know anything about what's really going on, but instead, our emotions are thought-driven. And when you think a thought, creates biochemical response, which is an emotion, and when you feel that emotion, create more thoughts, and you end up in this thought feeling loop. And you're just going round and around and around, because the thoughts that you think create the feelings, and then the feelings generate more thoughts, so you're just on a loop. And if you were to think about these thoughts and feelings that you experience just like that, I am absolutely willing to guess these are not new thoughts. These are old, familiar, habitual thoughts. They're not telling you anything new whatsoever. They're just loops. They are recycled. But the more that we pay attention to our thoughts, the more that we think that our feelings are telling us something significant is happening, or we keep placing our focus of attention on these thoughts. We keep accepting them as truth. We keep believing them. They seem believable because of the feelings that we're having. And where this is a huge challenge in the workplace is that we hear, the workplace is full of people that are burnt out. Organizations are trying to deal with chronic stress and burnout, which is impacting absence, performance, long-term sick, all of that. And I can absolutely guarantee you that giving people tips about how to manage their stress is not going to fundamentally create the kind of shifts, the kind of impact that you want within your organization. What we have to do is we have to show people what's really happening, what is really creating their experience moment to moment to moment. Because most people are stuck in this old Newtonian model of cause and effect. So again, if I go back to the public speaking example, they believe that the way that they feel is coming from public speaking. And yet when I use this example when I'm training, I say, well, if that was the case, why is it that you could be sat at home on your sofa, on your couch, and yet you're still in a state of panic, dread, worry, fear, and yet you're not even in that situation? How is that possible? What is creating the way that you're experiencing the moment? And it will come back to thought. These conditioned habitual thoughts. And what happens is that people will then use their imagination, or rather misuse the imagination, to imagine worst case scenario, to imagine, well, I'm probably also going to get judged, another thought, because there are senior people in that meeting, another thought, and, well, if there are senior people in that meeting, then the stakes are higher, another thought. You can see where this is going. They create this whole story in their mind about what they think is going to happen, and they project that into the mind as this is given. This is going to happen. Now, the subconscious mind will just go, all right, okay, that's what's going to happen. And so it reinforces the response. And so when it gets to the point of the actual event, well, they're in such a thought storm, they're so worked up, they're so dysregulated at the level of the autonomic nervous system that it's really difficult for them to be able to stand there, deliver a presentation, feeling calm. Because what they've told their body unconsciously is, this is not a safe situation. So what we are doing with metacognition, metacognition is where we become aware of these unconscious programs. We become aware of the habitual thoughts that we're thinking on a daily basis, over 95% of the time. We become aware of how we feel when we're thinking that thought. And why this is so crucial and so powerful is because when you are aware, well, then you're no longer in the thought. It's like you're this awareness that comes before the thought, comes before the emotion. You are able to observe what's playing out. And when people learn that these thoughts are not personal, these thoughts mean nothing about who you really are, well, then they start to lose their power. Because these thoughts, they've been banging around in the mind for donkey's years. I'm 47. I've got so many thought grooves that have been created since I was able to start thinking as a child. But if you keep thinking the same thoughts and creating the same emotional responses and expecting something to change, it's not going to happen. And most people are not aware of what's really going on. But the power becomes from the metacognition of being able to understand the nature of thought, to be able to see thought for what it really is, and to recognize, you know what, this is not personal. And what this does from a resilience perspective, it's not that we never get triggered. You know, things are going to happen in the external environment. We're going to get asked to do a presentation. We're going to maybe receive a bill that we weren't expecting. You know, one of our loved ones might get diagnosed with cancer. Things are going to happen. But the way that we feel, the way that we're responding to these situations isn't based on cause and effect. It is based on our internal operating system that is the unconscious mind. And the more that we see that, then we can catch it. You know, we are humans. We are going to have a human response to situations. But especially in our work life, the more that we recognize that the way that we feel is not cause and effect, is not the external environment, it's how we have habitually learnt to respond. Well, then the emotions, they don't get all the way to the top, and we also don't hang around there. I was having a conversation with a senior leader last week, and I've been getting her to get really good at getting aware of this stuff. And the difference in her in literally only a week is because of the metacognition. She's catching herself in these old responses. She's recognizing what's happening, and she's able to bring herself back to the present moment. She described it like a thermometer. She's like, it starts to go up, but then it comes down again. Because she's not in the program. We can't observe something and be in it at the same time. So as a result, she's showing up more calmly. In fact, she gave me a brilliant example of where her phone rang and her immediate go-to reaction, her conditioned reaction is, why is this person calling me? They never call me. I must have done something wrong. Is there something wrong? Is it my fault? That's her thought structure, which of course creates panic, worry, doubt, fear. And because she's become aware of this, she said, I actually let my phone just ring and go to voicemail. And then when I listened to the voicemail, she said, it was nothing like major. They just wanted to check on something. But her old emotional hijacked response would be, this is my fault. And that was something that she developed since childhood. But what she's able to view and see is, I don't need to respond in the same way. And this is how we create truly resilient workplaces, not through a load of tools and techniques that once we're under pressure go out the window. It's about understanding the way that we are showing up, what's really creating our experience, and having the metacognition, the awareness of what's happening, so that we can create a different response in the moment. So I trust that this has given you some insights, some flashes of inspiration. Maybe your mind's starting to join the dots. Maybe you're like, oh, okay, I'm starting to see my own patterns here, which will allow you to start to create a different response. And if this is something that you recognize, yes, this is what we need to teach our people, this is what we need to bring into the workplace, then please feel free to book a consultation call at the bottom of this video. But thank you for listening, and I look forward to you joining me again here today in another video. Bye bye for now.